There are thoughts, people and habits that don't deserve any more space in your life. And carrying on with all this is slowing you down, tiring you, erasing you. Today I don't speak to you as a guru but as a walking brother. I know how much it hurts to support a version of yourself that no longer represents you. I know how heavy it is to explain choices, to hold dead relationships, to pretend that everything is fine when, inside, something begs for change. But you got here for a reason, because you're ready. This is the time to clean up. Quiet, deep, liberating. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. And it's time to empty everything that keeps you from living with truth. Today, we will eliminate what weighs you, in silence. But before I start, I invite you to let us know the following sentence. Today, I begin to eliminate what prevents me from being who I am. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Eliminate the character you invented to please others. Have you ever wondered how many of your choices were really yours? How many times have you said, yes, meaning no? How many times have you smiled on the outside while falling apart from the inside, just to keep an image that pleases others? There is a version of you that has been carefully built, not with truth, but with fear. And perhaps you have been living inside this building for so long that you no longer know where the mask ends and your skin begins. When we are small, we learn to please. Educated smiles, expected behaviors, postures that avoid conflict. And all this seems to work at the beginning. We are praised, accepted, included. But there is an invisible price being charged every time you shut up not to displease. Every time you pretend to agree to maintain harmony. Every time you decrease to fit, you walk away from yourself. This character you created may have protected you for a while. He may even have opened doors, avoided rejections, conquered relationships. But now he traps you. He smiles for you, answers for you, lives for you. While your essence silent goes withering somewhere inside, waiting for the day you will remember who you were before trying to please the world. Living trying to please is like walking through an emotional minefield. You tread carefully, measure every word, avoid any trace of authenticity that may seem too much. But do you know what really weighs? It is not the effort to sustain the image, it is the emptiness that it leaves. You wake up tired and don't even know why. You feel like you always owe something, always acting, always adjusting. And at the end of the day, even if everyone praises you, you don't recognize yourself. Because you know, deep down, you know that this praised version is not your truth. It's all that's left after years molding yourself to what they expected from you. Eliminating this character is not simple. It is integrated into your words, your decisions, even the way you look in the mirror. But it is possible, and it begins with silence. Not a silence of omission, but a silence of reconnection. A sacred space where you stop explaining yourself, stop justifying yourself, stop hiding yourself. This is the moment when you stop reacting. Instead of trying to please, you begin to hear what your soul is asking for. You begin to say no calmly, saying yes with presence, dressing with comfort, not with expectation, moving with purpose, not with anxiety. Many will wonder, some will walk away, but whoever stays will stay for who you are, not for the character you represented. Stoics teach us that living with integrity is living according to nature. And its nature is not pleasing everyone. Its nature is being whole, even if it bothers us. It is true, even if it makes you miss a few applauses. Because those who live to please die inside slowly. Silence the character and let your presence speak for you. Number 2, dispose of the habit of postponing. You say you're going to start on Monday. You say you're going to change when things calm down. You're going to take care of yourself when you have time. You're going to walk away from someone who hurts you when it's more convenient. But the days go by and nothing changes. Only tiredness increases. Only frustration grows. The problem with postponing is that when you realize it, It's not just the plan that's left for later, it's your whole life. Postponing has become a socially accepted addiction. It's comfortable. It's justifiable. It's even understandable. But it's also one of the quietest forms of self-sabotage. You don't realize how much you're losing, because what you miss in postponing doesn't make noise. It's a kind of internal erosion, slow, discreet, devastating. To postpone is not just to leave tasks for tomorrow. It is to leave dreams on hold. It is to leave your emotional health for later. It is to leave important conversations in silence. It is to allow fear to dictate the rhythm of your life. You say you need more time, but is it? The truth is, many times you don't need more time. You need more courage. Courage to start, even insecure. To try, even without guarantees. To miss, even afraid to disappoint. The mind, when dominated by the habit of postponing, becomes a well-crafted field of apology. You learn to convince yourself that everything is under control, that 1 hour goes away. But deep down, you know that you are running away. Stoics warn us of this with brutal clarity. We have no control over the future, no assurances about how much time we have left. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You act as if you have infinite time, but death is lurking." This is not a call to despair. It is a call to the urgency of truth. Life is happening now, not tomorrow, not when everything is perfect, not when you feel more prepared. Now, body is sin. That second, that breath. And while you put it off, life goes on. The world doesn't stop to wait for your courage to arrive. Opportunities don't knock on the door to ask if now is a good time. They just pass. There are decisions that you know you need to make. Changes that your body already asks for. Relationships that support only by custom. Projects that make your eyes shine, but that you suffocate with an after. What if this after never arrives? Procrastination is often an emotional armor, an attempt to avoid the pain of failure. But what hurts the most? The failure to try, or the emptiness of never having lived what I called you. Eliminating the habit of postponing is a release that begins in silence. You do not need to announce to anyone that you are changing. Just wake up and do it. Do it even with fear, even without spirit, even in silence. Take one step, then another. Don't expect motivation. Just expect a minimum of loyalty from yourself. Because you promised yourself something, and not doing it is cheating. Start with what's within your reach. A simple action, a conversation that needs to happen, a decision that you've been pushing. With every attitude taken, you find the axis, the focus, the movement. Remember, action cures fear. Movement dissolves doubt. Discipline rescues the force that postponement buried. Maybe he won't even come. Do it now quietly, for you. Number 3, eliminate the invisible currents of the past. There are pains no one sees. Trauma so silent that you learn to smile over them. Untold stories. Chapters that you preferred to hide even from yourself. But what is not healed remains. And what remains shapes, even if you don't realize. The past, when it is not understood, becomes a ghost who directs his life behind the curtains. You think you are choosing freely, but it is the memories that decide for you. The old fears, the unhealed wounds, the episodes that mark too much. All this is still there, dictating your naws, sabotaging your sins. How many times have you shut yourself down for something good, just because something bad has taught you not to trust? How many times have you rejected a new beginning, because you were conditioned to believe that you don't deserve happy endings? You're not to blame for what happened, but you have a responsibility for what you decide to do with it now. The truth is that the past only has power if you keep making room for it inside you. It's not about forgetting. It's not about pretending that it didn't hurt. It's about stopping living because of what can't be changed anymore. Because every time you live again, blame yourself or hold on to what you've been through, it's like reaffirming the same trauma every day. The strongest currents are not the visible ones. They are the emotional ones. They are the ones that nobody sees, but that hold their steps every time you try to move forward. It is the recurring thoughts that say, "This is not for you. It will go wrong again. Better not even try." And where are these voices born? Stoicism invites us to distinguish between what is in our control and what is not. And the past, however painful, has already come out of our hands. What is still in your power is the interpretation that you make of it, the lens by which you decide to see it. Seneca said that, "No wind is favorable to those who do not know what port they are going to, and those who live in chains to the past live in drift." No direction, reacting to life, but without really choosing it. Freeing yourself from these chains requires no noise. It does not require dramatic confrontations or great closures. It requires silence, a mature, internal silence, where you look at your own story with compassion and say, "This happened. It marked me, but it does not define me." Oh, many keep feeding the victim's narrative, recounting, reliving, reinforcing. But in the meantime, life is going on, and every day, a part of you falls asleep a little more. You're not the same person you used to be, and that, in itself, is a chance to rewrite the route, to go with less weight, more lightness, more truth. There is no liberation without forgiveness. And sometimes the forgiveness that most healing is not what you offer others. It is what you offer yourself. For letting yourself get hurt, for staying where it didn't make sense anymore, for having blamed yourself so much, for not knowing what you're beginning to understand today. The cure doesn't scream. It whispers. It starts in small acts. When you choose not to repeat old patterns. When you decide to trust again, to love again, to dream again, even with scars, even with fear. You don't have to erase your story. You just have to stop living like you're still stuck in it. And that you can do now, quietly. Number 4, eliminate emotional reliance. There are loves that don't free, relationships that, instead of expanding, squeeze, and there's a kind of need that disguises itself as affection. But it's actually prison. You say that you love, that you need, that you don't live without. But deep down, you're begging for crumbs of presence, for signs of affection. Emotional dependence does not scream like an obvious addiction. It whispers. It infiltrates between the lines of your behaviors. When you feel anxiety because it did not respond, when you cancel out so you do not displease, when you accept less than you deserve just to not be alone, you begin to measure your value by the other's gaze. Your joy depends on someone's disposition. Your mood oscillates according to the presence or absence of a message. And gradually, you disappear from yourself. Stop being whole. It becomes a reflection, an extension, a weight. But let me say something clearly. No one is responsible for filling you in. No relationship should be the remedy for your deepest pains. The other may be company, but never your anchor. It may be hugging, but never your salvation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts, not on the other, not on the reciprocity, not on the attention you receive, but on what you decide to think about yourself, about love, about what you accept and what you deserve." Emotional dependence is born from a disconnect with value itself. When you do not know who you are, any affection serves. When you do not love, any presence seems sufficient. But love is not clinging. Love is choosing freely. And you can only choose freely when you are not begging to be chosen. Eliminating this dependence is a painful process because it creates illusions. Do you believe that you are loving when you are actually running away from yourself? Do you think that you are in partnership when you are actually in emotional captivity? And the worst, Sometimes the other doesn't even know the power you have over you, because you are the one who delivered it. Healthy relationships are made of two whole, not needy halves. They are spaces where there is sharing, no emotional begging. Where there's presence, no control. Where silence is comfortable, and not torture that you interpret as rejection. The cure begins when you decide to be enough. Not by arrogance, but by maturity. When you learn to stay with your own company. When you understand that loneliness is not the absence of the other, it is the absence of yourself. And what presence is not bought with effort, with sacrifice, or with excess. Presence is attracted by the truth of who you are. You don't have to prove your worth to be loved. And sometimes, that memory requires distance. It requires the silence of those who stop sending messages, of those who stop begging, of those who stop squirming to fit in spaces that were made for two, but only you are occupying. Emotional dependence robs you of dignity, disguised as romanticism. And if you don't cut that cycle now, it will repeat itself, with another name, another face, the same pain. It is in the silence of distance that you will hear your own voice again. You will relearn to love, to look at yourself with respect, to stand up, without needing effective crutches. And when that happens, you will no longer accept crumbs, because you will have discovered the banquet that is to be whole. Number 5. Eliminate the addiction of imagining problems that do not yet exist. Have you ever spent whole days trying to solve something that didn't even happen? The mind is a tireless creator of catastrophic scenarios. It projects betrayals before the other even changes the tone of voice. Imagine bankruptcies before the project even begins. It rehearses rejections, failures, diseases, accidents. All in the dark, all in silence, all within you. The worst of fears, almost always, is not in the world, it is in your imagination. You live on constant alert. You expect the worst. You prepare for the worst. You defend yourself from the worst. But the worst never comes. Just wear out, just tiredness, just the anxiety of living battles that aren't real. Because what consumes you is not what's happening, but what you're trying to control inside your head. That's not caution, that's prison. Stoics called this habit to suffer in anticipation of preoccupation. That is, to occupy oneself before time with what is not yet. And the price of this emotional anticipation is very high. You lose what now trying to survive a that may never come. Seneca wrote, "Let us suffer more in the imagination than in reality." And that is brutally true. How many sleepless nights have you had because of something that didn't even come true? How many rehearsed discussions have you had with someone without ever saying a word in fact? How many ways have you stopped going because you imagined all the ways it could go wrong? Your mind, without direction, becomes a maze. You get lost in assumptions, in hypotheses, in monsters that you create yourself. And the cruelest thing is that while you fight these ghosts, real life is passing by. Light, simple, possible. But you don't see it, because you're too busy trying to avoid pains that only exist in the theater of fear. The antidote. The present is the only place where you have any power. It's where life really happens. Everything outside of it is illusion. It's sabotage. But the mind needs to be trained to stay here because the impulse to project for the future is ancient, ancestral. It is linked to the instincts of survival. Only today, most of its enemies are not in the jungle. It is in the notifications, in the thoughts, in the automatic patterns of concern. Eliminating this addiction requires a silent decision. Every time you catch yourself living an imaginary problem, come back. Breathe. Look around. Ask yourself, is this happening now? Can I solve this right now? If the answer is no, let go. Do not try to control what has not yet arrived. Do not try to predict what is out of your hands. Do not spend your life living tragic versions of a future that may never exist. Most of your fears don't need to be overcome. You don't need a plan for everything. You need courage to live what's before you, one day at a time, one decision at a time, one clean thought at a time. And in time, your mind learns that you don't have to run forward or go back to the past to feel safe. Learns that now, even imperfect, is gentler than any imaginary hell. You learn that peace is not the absence of problems. It's the absence of ghosts. Number 6, eliminate resentment and allow peace to dwell in you. Have you ever tried to sleep with your heart at war? The light is out, the quiet body, the quiet world out there. But inside, an old noise keeps pulsing. It's the sound of something unresolved. A name you pretend to have forgotten. A situation that insists on coming back, no matter how many times you tell yourself that it's over. But the truth is he didn't, because resentment doesn't go through alone. He lodges, he waits, he feeds on his pride, his anger, and the secret hope that one day he understands the pain he caused. It's just that it rarely happens. While you wait for justice, for recognition, for excuses that may never come, resentment is taking up space within you, and not just emotional space. It manifests itself in the body, in humor, in the way you close yourself to life. It infiltrates your words, in your silences, in your relationships. You become hard, suspicious, reactive. It starts attacking before anyone has time to hurt. It starts to protect yourself even from those who do not threaten you. And all this for something that should be over by now. Resentment is like an invisible chain attached to your ankle. You walk, but you don't advance. You laugh, but you don't really rejoice. You love, but with reservations. You dream, but with fear. Because part of you is still facing back, holding the rope of a past that doesn't change. Many think that forgiveness is a gift that you give to others. But Stoics show us that not. Forgiveness is, first of all, a gift that you give yourself. It is not forgetfulness. It is not denial. It is liberation. It is when you say, with firmness and serenity, it will no longer determine who I am. Epictetus wrote, it is not the facts that disturb us, but the judgment that we make about them. And the resentment is this, a judgment that you have decided to maintain as an emotional punishment, as a reminder that you cannot trust, as a justification for not opening up anymore. But this trial doesn't have to go on. You can choose another look. You can see pain as part of its construction, not as its definition. You can see the error of the other as ignorance, not as eternal sentence. You can even recognize that there was cruelty, but that you do not need to live in the echo of it forever. This is not done in a dramatic way. It does not require a message. It does not require a reunion. Sometimes, the most powerful forgiveness is the one that no one sees, except you. It's the moment when you wake up, and for the first time, you don't think about that name anymore, or think about it. But no pain, no desire for revenge, no weight. It's the moment you stop repeating the story, stop seeking allies for your version, stop clinging to the wound as if it were part of your identity. Because deep down, you know, you weren't born to carry all this. You were born to live lightly. And lightness requires detachment. Lightness requires silence. Lightness requires the courage to not want to be right anymore, but in peace. Forgiveness is not an end. It's a beginning. A cleaner beginning, more mature, more yours. And this peace that you seek so much will not come when the other changes. It will come when you decide to let go, not because you forgot, but because you chose to live beyond that. And that choice, you can make now. No fuss, no ceremony. Quietly. Number 7, eliminate the idea that happiness is a destiny. Have you ever said to yourself, when I get that, then will I be happy? You may have said that by thinking of a new job, an ideal relationship, the perfect home, the desired body, the full bank account, And so you will live, from promise to promise, from mark to mark, as if happiness was a trophy that is won at the end of a long race. But the question that never shuts up is, what if that ending never comes? Or worse, what if he comes and you realize it's still empty? The truth is that many people are chasing a horizon that moves away every time it seems closer. You work hard, sacrifice your health, abandon the calm, ignore the present, all in the name of a tomorrow where, supposedly, everything will make sense. But tomorrow never has the strength of now. And when you realize you are already too exhausted to take advantage of what you have achieved, happiness is not in fate. It is in the way. But as long as you believe it depends on external conditions, you will remain a prisoner of circumstances. When I have, when I go, when I can, are phrases that keep you trapped in a future that does not exist. Because, as Seneca recalled, life is not what is to come, but what is happening now. And while you live in function of the after, you are wasting the only time you really have, this moment. The Stoics did not see happiness as constant euphoria, nor as the fulfillment of all desires. They saw it as serenity, as coherence, as a state of alignment between what you believe and what you live. And this is not achieved with conquests. It is built with presence. You may have little and live in fullness. You may not have achieved everything you want, and yet be at peace. Because peace does not come from arrival, but from the way you walk, from the steps you take with intent, from the simple days lived with meaning. Eliminating this idea that happiness is ahead is one of the deepest acts of maturity. It's when you stop postponing life for when everything is right. It's when you decide you don't have to expect everything to change to start feeling gratitude now. And that's not conformism, that's lucidity. It's not to stop dreaming. Is to stop conditioning your joy to the fulfillment of the dream. The world has taught you that happiness is accumulation, that the more you have, the happier you will be. But what no one has told you is that it is often the excess that chokes you, which is the unbridled rhythm of the search that keeps you from breathing, which is the attachment to the result that robs you of the taste of the journey. Happiness is not a finish line. It is the way you step on the ground even on difficult days. It is the way you look at the sky even when it is cloudy. It is the ability to find beauty in the simple, meaning in the ordinary, silence in agitation. You don't have to make a fuss to change that. You just have to stop, breathe. Remember that you're alive, that this moment, imperfect as it is still a gift. And right now, even without it all settled, you can smile. You can thank me. You can choose. Because happiness is not what you expect. It's what you choose to live. Now, I sincerely hope that this message has been helpful. I sincerely want to congratulate you for coming this far and completing the video. That means that you want to improve as a person. If you liked the video, leave your comment. If you don't know what to say, comment gratitude, then I'll know that you've watched until the end. If you're not already on the channel, what are you waiting for? Sign up now and join us. Stoicism is full of teachings like this, which are applicable to our everyday life. Therefore, I encourage you to continue learning about this philosophy. I leave here 2 videos full of Stoic wisdom so you can continue learning. Until next.